Hello everyone, this is Rare Model Reviews here, and today we have the high grade 1 to 144 scale Sazabi. Now this is a kit that's a bit older in my collection, and well, I'll get on to my opinions of it later, but this is, in my opinion, a kit that is part of the line that really started to elevate high grade into God tier, I guess you'd say. This thing is packed with accessories. It actually has some pretty nice new features that they started implementing into the high grade line. So I am actually a really big fan of the movie Shar's Counterattack. It's probably one of my favorite ones in the series. And I just had to grab this guy. Now in hindsight, I should have actually got the Master Grade. It's funny because I actually used to have a Master Grade new Gundam I got alongside it. I think mainly because the high grade unicorn new Gundam sold so well, I couldn't get my hands on one, so I kind of really wanted a new Gundam and got the Master Grade. Ironically, I should have held off and got the high grade new Gundam and the Master Grade Sazabi. But rambling aside, we're gonna go ahead and get into colors here. So for colors, I'm sure you guys can make out right off the bat all the yellow pieces that color the centers in black. Didn't have a panel liner at the time, so I didn't do the cables. This is actually a decal. This thing actually only had like 2 stickers, if I'm not mistaken. One was for the mono eye, which I'm actually gonna spoil for you guys. Again, this is a super old kit, but the mono eye piece actually fell out. I'm not even sure if I even still have it or not, but it actually used to be on a track. That's what the little piece is there for. And the main reason why that happened is this piece right here comes out extremely easily. So this thing falls out on me all the time. I'm guessing eventually the mono eye must have fell out of that piece. I didn't notice or something. Again, it might be my shoebox with the rest of the accessories. I'm gonna have accessories and kind of dead kits, really, I should say. But moving on. Color in the back of the thrusters here, yellow. And actually these little propellanting area there too, because I imagine, I don't know, maybe these would double as a thruster or something. I don't know. It made sense at the time when I did it. There's one good thing I can say. I think it's really hard to get out. So, but anyway, I colored the back of that piece there yellow. This entire back area was just molded in red. I painted that yellow and black, make that pop a little bit. I think that's kind of it. It's just like back of the leg pieces. It really moves. And as you see there, head already came out. All I did was move this thing around. But anyway, and don't ask why this is black. Not even I'm sure what that's about. But anyway, yeah. I guess we're just going to articulation. So these little areas here for the funnels have a wide range of movement there. So that is really good. I guess I turned around for the propellant tape, but these are on the ball joint as you see, so those can wiggle. Back armor here. Wiggle side to side, go up about that much. I guess I'll go on the legs while I'm already at it. So they go about that way until they get kind of hindered there. Another thing about the leg here I'm going to mention, and it's a really bad gripe, but these legs are in basically friction base. It's supposed to be connected by a poly cap, but that poly cap I think is maybe too narrow or something, because you start trying to move this leg and it falls out. So you kind of get into issues I had with my Master Grade sheesh, that's bad. Strike, where you basically have to hold on to the leg when you move this thing, otherwise it'll fall out like right there. So yeah, not a good thing there. I think this leg is on a peg or ball joint, I'm not sure, but it's very limited amount of movement. Like I said, see, this thing is impossible to keep in there. So we have the front armor here, which I painted the insides of black. Actually, that looks really good. But the leg can go all the way up here. Like, and you're just constantly fighting with this thing whenever you move it. But like as you can see, the articulation's all right on it. It's not half bad. Could be better though. The arm here, full 360, can go up about here. It's on a peg. This little thruster here moves up and down. Arm can move out about here. 360. This is a very narrow peg, by the way, so this thing makes me nervous just moving it. Arm articulation is horrendous. I don't know what the heck that was. Hope you guys didn't hear that, but color that piece in black there. But Yeah, the arm articulation, kind of the leg articulation too. Honestly, this articulation in general, this thing's pretty bad. So they didn't really do much on the articulation there, but for the high grades yet, but still has some nice details. Like these hands are incredible. This is when they started to do the hands you see, even still today, where instead of it being a one size fits all hands, this thing is like 3 pieces: the back of the hand, the actual hand itself, and this little area where the fingers and stuff connect. And as you can see, you know, it's not that cheap looking block that you'd see in a lot of high grades. You know, it looks really kind of detailed. It's not the master grade type hands where things could move around and whatnot, but still, definitely not a bad trade-off. So that's it for articulation. Actually, no, it's not. I didn't do the head. So I'm just gonna take that off. It's gonna fall off anyway, but head could kind of go 360 there. Barely, I don't know, not really, because it's kind of feeling with that neck, but I guess I kind of have to put this piece on. Up and down doesn't look right without it. And see, that's the trait. That's the thing with this. You couldn't even really say, "Oh, just glue the head," because if you did that, then you wouldn't be able to move them on eye. Had I still had it, so you know. But yeah, I can't really describe the neck movement, but you can see it there. So again, 2 accessories now. Each of these binders here could actually open up. And one thing I wanted to mention is, geez, well, I can't get that other one out, but trust me, it opens up. These funnels here were removable. They actually are all connected together, but I actually cut them apart. I don't think I had an X-Acto knife at the time or something, because I didn't clean this thing up at all. But you can actually take out the funnels, and then it comes with 6 individual funnels, all in open form. They do not unconnect, whatever you, or open up. Can't find the words for it, but you can't put them inside the binders here. The holes on these ones are actually, it's not even that they're big, it's just that if you can see there's like these little lines or X's. Just think of focus. There you guys can kind of see it. So those kind of stop you from being able to put them in. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do with these funnels. They're just kind of there for our detail, really. But I've seen some people jerry rig things with like the runners, particularly from like the beam sabers, where they're that softer plastic. They kind of attach the that piece into it, the back of the thrusters. And then I think I've even seen them be able to like file out or whatever, and put them into the holes there, so you can actually do something with the funnels, have them like deployed, you know, just some creative stuff that only like veteran builders would be able to pull off. But you just ignore that. But yeah, so there actually might be things they release later on that allow you to do stuff with the funnels now. Like I know the Nightingale, there's something for that, which lets you Jeez, what's wrong with me today? That lets you do something with the funnels, and it's like compatible for both the high grade and Reborn's version. But anyway, as you can see, there's an open hand here. I'm going to remove that and put in the open fist hand. And the reason for that is this thing comes with 2 beam sabers. Now, again, this is an older kit I have, and unfortunately, this thing fell victim to a lot of fall damage, among other things. And as a result, the beam saber I had to actually glue in. So we actually have one that I believe is broken. I think I got the beam out, ironically, but the actual piece for it, as you can see, it is broken. Yeah, so you'd be able to put it in. I think honestly this might not have been fall damage. I think what it might have been is the beam might have just been super duper tight in there, and as a result it like kind of fell out. But again, this thing has a peg in it, and this actually might have been like one of the first high grades to actually have pegs for the accessories. But geez, as you can see, it's really in there too. If I could get this thing out. Come on. Oh boy, you know what? I'm gonna actually just switch back to the open hand. I'm not doing this, but The next accessory I actually have here is the shield. So the shield actually has a decal for it too. I forgot about that. And I painted that part there, kind of smeared. I don't know how that happened. I believe this was all painted in black. So I painted a little binder there, black, and then the missiles there are red. It's not the right red. I used a seed Gundam marker set for this because I couldn't get a normal Gundam marker set, but painted in the shield there black as well, as long as these little rivets there. Like I said, I really like this Sazabi, so I really went all out with this thing. But that's another thing. This part of the shield here does not really stay in very well at all. But anyway, so as you see, you have the shield hold out to the side there. It actually can move around. You kind of have to move that part here, so you can kind of move this thing around and whatnot. And then I'm sure you guys made it out, but there's actually two pieces here for the shield, so you could actually kind of move that around. I don't know why I colored that in yellow. Like I said, I just kind of went overboard with the coloring on this thing. But so you can move that around there. So you can have the shield out front for more of a blocking pose, although it's so big and clumsy, you can't really move that around quite well. And of course, you can also spin it around and have the shield to the back. Not quite sure why you'd want to do that, but you can. So voila. And also I mentioned this thing kind of has trouble standing, but I think I already took it out a little too early. But yeah, again, it has a removable beam sword there with two effect parts. So the first one here you have is an axe, so you just plug that right on there. Fortunately, it has one beam blade for it, so you can't have two on. I think the Master Grade might have had two on, and wow, then I'm going to do that. But it also has another one that converts into the beam sword. So you plug that right in. And I just want to mention those accessories for this thing have no problem staying in. So much like what we did with the beam saber. You're going to open up these hands here. Oh, okay, I said open it up, not to completely take it apart. Yeah, these hands are really in here. So that's not a bad thing, but it's just, you know, when you're trying to take them apart, what you need to do to put these things on, you know, as you can see, you run into some issues. So again, this thing has a peg in here. So this thing has no problems holding its accessories. See, this is where I was going to kind of say at the beginning, but the accessories are the real selling point of this thing. This thing literally can do everything you expect from the Sazabi. It's just really the fact that the articulation and, again, some of these loose pieces and all that are really what kind of ruins it. But again, you know, no problems holding this thing, and it's really in there. And then even if it does fall out, I mean, you could kind of hold it up like this. So again, it's not too bad. I actually kind of did wiggle out, but that was me really trying though. If you didn't try, I'm sure it'd stay in there. But on to the last accessory, we have the beam shot rifle, which I really love. Painted this, just a little cable there. And there's no cameras or anything on this thing. It's interesting. I guess it's primarily supposed to be a shotgun, so I mean, it kind of makes sense. You don't really aim a shotgun, do you? You just kind of spray and pray. But you just kind of, well, it's already in there. There's no reason to take that apart, but again, you just replace it. Something I didn't mention before, but again, this peg here, again, I think it's a little too narrow, I guess, for the polycat, but again, this thing does not stay in very well. It's like no matter what I try to do with that thing, eventually it always will wiggle out when you move that arm too much. But yeah, so again, still the accessories on this thing are incredible. It's just the articulation, again, some of the looseness of the parts and the fact that it doesn't typically stand too well. It's standing well now. I mean, I guess it's really just the fact you got to really kind of play around with the ankles, because you, like I showed before, you can move these ankles around. So I think half the problems I have with the standing is I have it positioned like this instead of like this. So that might be why, because this thing has big feet. It's one of the rare suits that has big feet, so it shouldn't have a problem standing at all. But again, I'm done with the accessories here. So the only thing next to do now at this point is some size comparisons. So we have this thing next to the Rigazine, which is high grade as well. And as you can see, this thing towers above it. And mind you, the Rigazine is a later UC kit. So this is where they started making them huge for God knows what reason. And still, it's very tiny compared to it. And I wish I had the new Gundam still, but for those of you who are not aware, the new Gundam's kind of really bad. And I got so frustrated that thing, I ended up giving it away to one of my cousins or whatever. So who knows what happened to it now? It's probably in the trash can now. But next to the Sazabi, we have the Reborns 100. Yakidoga. This is Quest Air's version. I actually watched the movie again, and it turns out Quest didn't call herself Quest Air, so I'm guessing that was an alias because she didn't want to identify herself as Quest Pariah. But moving along. Again, this is a high grade. This is a reborn, so of course it's going to be enormous. But the Sazabi, mind you, is still a rather big kid, as you see next to the Yakidoga. So, I mean, I've already kind of did a size comparison of this guy next to Gyune's version, but again, it's just like, you know, this thing already looks enormous, but like it just looks laughingly small next to the Yakidoga, and it already looks small next to the Sazabi. So this is just like, you know, this just looks so crazy. It doesn't help that the Sazabi's so wide too, so you know, it's just really funny looking at the really small kids next to really big kids. Like, I'll even bring these down just to make them look even smaller, you know. So that's just really it for size comparisons there. So I'm going to go on to my conclusion of this guy. And I'm going to say, me personally, I wouldn't recommend it just because the looseness of the kit, the bad posability. It's got decent details, color separations, decent, but again, it's just, and I guess I didn't mention that, but the arms can actually move out a little bit. But yeah, again, this falling off is ridiculous because it needs to not be glued in so you can move the mono eye. But again, it's just so easy for this to fall off, you know. You'll sneeze on it and it'll fall off, and I'm not a fan of that. Like I said, the arm falls off when you play around with it too much, the leg when you play around with it too much. And I don't know, it just makes it really hard for me to recommend it. However, I do have this. This is going to be an action-based 5. And there is a piece here in a crouch, which I painted yellow along the back here. Like I said, I really like this kit, so I painted it a lot. But the primary use of the Sazabi is a space use suit, you know. So this is something I was going to say with the Super Gundam too when I did that review, but the action base originally made me kind of change my impression of the Super Gundam. However, if you at least put it on the action base, besides the fact that this automatically unlocks a wide range of poses for this thing, but also it helps with the standing problem at least. It still has the articulation problem, you know, so you still have to, again, hold the leg before you pose it. I guess you have to do the same thing in the arm, you know, kind of hold it and pose it, but, you know, it definitely does help with the poses you can do for this thing. You can do a lot more of this thing in the air than you can on the ground. So it does help with it, you know. So, again, me personally, I couldn't recommend it. However, that's the whole point of this review, for you to watch, see what this thing has, and make your own opinion. So, you know, maybe if you have an action-based line around or you're willing to get one, and you see this thing, you might be able to say, I mean, it's got a lot of accessories. It looks pretty good. I could color it, you know, make it look better and all that. I could work with bad articulation. Hey, you said just hold the pieces when you move it, right? You know, maybe you might be able to say, screw it, I'll pick it up. But again, I personally, just from my experience with this thing, can't recommend it. Like, this thing was in my shoebox perfectly fine. There were some broken things on it, but nothing so broken that, you know, it just dead. You might as well just throw it out. You know, it's just, again, I just got frustrated. This thing, threw everything in a box, and it sat in there for years until literally recently when I took it out for size comparisons and whatnot, starting up my reviews and whatnot. So I've honestly rambled enough here. I don't think there's anything else left to really say. So in conclusion, I'm going to say that I actually have a really big unboxing coming up, so definitely tune in for that. It's going to be titled as a mystery box. Those are all my unboxings when there's multiple kits involved. But stay tuned for that one. And of course, I'm going to have another review next week. I actually built a real great Phoenix a while ago, and I've just been kind of holding off on reviewing it because that thing is a doozy. I'm not sure if I'll be able to pull that off in one video, but we'll see. So, you know, stay tuned. Who knows? Maybe that'll be next week's review. But this is Rare Model Reviews here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And tune in for next time.